Salute to my brothers and sisters in Christ. Now, today, first and foremost, I'm going to ask you what's good? What's good with you? How you doing? How your day been? I ask you that because many people out there may not have someone to ask them how's their day been, if they're good, their experience, their feelings, their goals, their aspirations, if they need to vent, if they need anything, just showing love. We're here to show love, give love. So I want to extend mine first, asking you how you doing. Now today, we'll be talking about my upbringing. So let's get to it. Well, the type of family that I was born into, I was born into a family that was very uh, delved into the occult. A lot of the men on both sides of my family, mother's and father's side, were Freemasons. Some were high-ranking Freemasons, uh, Master Masons. My grandpa was a Shriner, which is a member of the ancient Arabic Order of the Nobles of the Mystic Shrine, a charitable society founded in the U.S. in 1872. And the Shriners are Master Masons, or either 32nd degree Scottish Rite Masons, or Knights Templar York Rite Masons. You know what I mean? They come from all walks of life, including movie stars, CEOs, and former U.S. presidents. But he was a sergeant major in the Marines, serving 27 years. He used to tell me stories all the time. You know what I mean? All the crackers he used to beat up. You know, all the crackers he used to beat up. You know what I mean? But afterwards, then he was owning his own trucking and escort business. You know what I mean? Uh, but he always used to play the drums. You know what I mean? I always loved to ride his motorcycles. You know, so that's just it. That was just a little something of who he was. A 32nd degree Freemason. My aunt, she was an Eastern Star and a sorority member, but she was an active participant in the civil rights movement. She was often put in jail, you know what I mean, for fighting for equality and justice, but was always prayed up, you know. She was a church goer. She was always prayed up. Um, as her and her other participants in the movement chanted, "Lord, we are in your hands." You know what I mean? So she was also a member of the Tri-Cities Virginia Association of Educational Office Professionals, where she had many leadership positions, and also a member of the National Association of Education Office Professionals, active member of the VSU Booster Club, including her and her husband establishing the Ruby W. Evans Endowed Scholarship Fund at Virginia State University. She served as chair of the United Churches of Dinwiddie, was active in the local, state, and national government, working with many elected government officials on their campaigns. She served as the president of the Dinwiddie County Democratic Committee from 2007 to 2013. She was also active in the Head Start program for Dinwiddie County. She was awarded the Unsung Hero Award by the Masons Petersburg Consistory, number 144, and was recognized as a 2018 Hometown Hero of Dinwiddie County. She was also a member of the NAACP, Petersburg Assembly, number 144 Order of the Golden Circle, served as past Loyal Lady Ruler, the Heroines of Jericho, Joshua Court, number 4, and the VSU Alumni Association, Dinwiddie chapter. She carried out volunteer duties for the American Cancer Society, which she had cancer. and that's what she had passed away from. A lot of my family members passed away from cancer, but also the St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital and other organizations. So that's just a little something about her. Many people in my family went to the military. Many of my people in my family were a part of sororities and fraternities. My mother's side came in on that boat. My father's side, his mother was a native to this land, indigenous, aborigine. His father came in on that boat. Now, my mother's side, my granny had had 14 brothers and sisters. They were a singing group growing up. So that was choir life, vocal. Also, as you can see, had much leadership, much knowledge, education from schooling, secret society knowledge, all things passed down to epigenetic and DNA from coming from the people and the lineage that I came from. Had people that dwelled in the streets, people that didn't so much take a straight worldly path, more of a corrupt worldly path in terms of griminess, street life. The type of spirits that inhabited majority of the vessels in my family. It was drunken spirits. There were powerful spirits, Leviathan spirits, Jezebel spirits, manipulative, controlling, ego, a lot of adulterous spirits, a lot of fornicating spirits. Even they got incest spirits. Yeah, it's incest. It's incest going on in my family. A lot of it's a lot of witchcraft spirits. Man, a lot of witchcraft. Because if you in these secret societies, if you in these, because the secret societies ain't nothing but a cult. Ain't nothing but a cult. Secret societies. Um, you got some hatred spirits. You got some hatred spirits because you can't. What I mean, you gonna have to serve one or the other. You can't serve two masters. You got some envious spirits. You got some murderous spirits. Some had wrathful spirits. It was many demonic spirits inhabiting the vessels and majority of my family members. Because I would not say all, but majority of my family members, it was very demonic spirits housed within them. How I was raised, I was mainly raised with my Dama. That is my father's mother, which we don't call her grandmother, call her Dama. Now Damina is Latin for lady, but we call her Dama. I've done research in the past. Dama was actually a Buddhist monk who went to Shaolin to teach peace and martial arts. When I did research on the name, that's what I found, and it was so because she was a very humble lady, very knowledgeable, wise woman. We was with her a lot of the time. She taught us our roots in terms of being native and indigenous and aborigine. She was Cherokee. Used to take us to Indian powwows, as they called them. But a native get together is called a powwow. So we used to go to that. with some of my cousins, so on and so forth, other family members. And she taught us our roots that way. Got into a lot of plant life. She loved flowers, gardening. Those traits rubbed off. Uh, humble living. Very humble, very wise. Slow down, more of the tortoise mindset. Not fast paced. Other than that, I grew up in a single family household with my mother. Father was not around. He showed up, or we were together. Uh, Very rare up until middle school. After middle school, it was no more. It was no more. The connection was not there, and that's what it was. The type of being I was growing up, I was very observant. I didn't talk much. Always been an introvert. Always stayed to myself. But I observed people. I observed everyone I was around. I learned about others and how they live their lives. I observed where people went wrong in life. And I observed what people did that was beneficial for their lives. So I always have been a observant child growing up. Always been an observant person, period. Always been an observant being. And that's how I use my observation. Because obviously I knew one day I was going to be older and I was going to need to know and take the good and the bad, implement it in my life, and the strategy of how I would profit from my observations on people's lives, on the good and the bad of what happened and why it happened in their life, and I stored it. I stored it in my mind and keep it to know how to move and what to do when I got older. So I was a very observant person, observing everything and anything to see the good and the bad, the pros and the cons, the righteous and the unrighteous, and how it worked out for that each and every individual. So that's who I was, and that's how I've always been, and that's who I am. I'm a very observant person, and I think the type of spirits that were housed in me growing up, it was very understanding spirits, warrior, warrior spirit. I was 2 years old. I can remember clear as day. 2 years old, getting up and walking out the house. You know what I mean? Exploring the great outdoors before the crack of dawn. Before the crack of dawn. And when the sun came up, I came back in the house, right? And my mama, you know what I mean? My mama was right there. She was just about to leave for work. Just about to leave for work. Caught me coming in the door. I ain't lying. I ain't lying. You can ask yourself. Caught me coming in the door. I remember. I know she, caught me coming in the door. Grown man, 2 years old, grown man, warrior up in me. That warrior up in me. I had to go and explore. You know what I'm saying? Soon as I come in the door, she look at me like she is in shock. I'm coming in 2 years old, coming in, going out, coming back in, locking it like a grown man. like a grown man. Yeah, y'all know I got that whooping. Y'all know I got that whooping, but yes, the rod was laid. The rod was laid to the bosom. I ain't lying. But I've been standing on 10 toes since a baby. As y'all say, since a jit. You know what I mean? It always been in me, man. Always been in me, not on me. You know what I mean? Was born a warrior. Was born a warrior. So that was another spirit, you know what I mean? That warrior spirit always been up in me. Very observant spirit. Those were the type of spirits that was housed in me growing up. My parents, well, my mother, she was a woman that suffered from being, of course, everyone suffers from slavery. So we have traumatic experiences and traumatic trauma, PTSD, so on and so forth. Just things, epigenetic things that have been passed down from ancestor, forefather to forefather, psychologically, uh, mentally, physically, so on and so forth. Other than that, she was molested when she was younger. So she had those psychological things in terms of her view of men. That's that's a makeup of her. And then she had four brothers. So and the family life in terms of the things that they were endeavored in, the type of spirits that were housed in them, it didn't make anything any better. My father, he was a blow sniffer. You know what I mean? Yes, sir. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Brother loved that cocaine. He was a wild dude, like motorcycles and cars. He had a car collection. You know what I mean? I ain't talking about no a car you could drive collection. I'm talking about car models. Car model collection. He was a I guess you would say fanatic about the cars. He was a fan of cars. You know what I mean? Um, and he used to have Mustang, and he used to have a bike back in the day. You know what I mean? A motorcycle. Um, Wild child. You know what I mean? Wild child. You know what I mean? He was a wild child. You know what I'm saying? Off that blow. You know what I mean? Um, yeah. So that's all I can say about him, honestly. Later on, he said you know what I mean. One upon a time, he told me he had experience with. He said he had experience with Jesus. Jesus came in when he was in the car, high off cocaine. Said he came and sat right beside him. I don't remember the rest of that story. I just remember that. He told me he was a high cocaine, driving the car, and Christ came down, face to face with him. So so he started. He said he gave his life to Christ. He played the drum. He he became a minister and was ministering at churches. You know what I mean? I got some cousins on that side that's ministers. That's pastors. Um, so I got that in me too. You know what I mean? I got some pastors in my family and some ministers in my family. He wanted to be one of them. Yeah, he wanted to be one of them. So he did that for a little while. Played the drums at churches for a little while. He played the drums. Uh, uh, that ain't last long. That ain't last long. So that was him. He was my pops was yeah, he was a blow sniffer. Yeah, he loved that he loved that cocaine. That cocaine. Man, what dog say? What dog say? You say got that cocaine in my system. Yeah. Daddy had cocaine in his sperm when I guess that's why I took off to that egg, man. It started playing. Pew! You know what I mean? Y'all remember that? Y'all remember that chicken called like all Looney Tunes? Y'all remember that? The Road Runner. Pew! Took off to the egg cuss and I'm coming now. Stop playing. Said I'm coming now. Yo. So that was just who they was. And my mother first she was a counselor on the side, and she worked at Capital One. And my father, he was a trash truck driver. From my knowledge, from the things that I know that I've heard, and so on and so forth, I've later on in life actually, with my dama, went to his job one time. So I knew him to be a trash truck driver. My mother eventually went back to school, and she started to be a teacher. She went to school for elementary education and became a teacher after that. Some of the actions that were committed by my parents growing up. Well, my mother, she was never really around because she had to work all the time. Uh, it is what it is. That's what you gotta do when you grown folk. You had them children. You indulge in that pleasure. You know what I mean. And you had some. So we here. You know what I mean. So I can't say too many actions that were committed that I know right off the bat. She used to be stealing. Yeah, she would be stealing and lying, stealing and lying. So my mother used to take whenever we'll get some money from either my grandfather, you know what I mean, my father's father, uh, or anytime we'll get some money from elders, or you know what I mean. My aunt Rue used to get us anytime. We used to go to a family member house and they'll give us some money, you know what I mean, because they had money, you know what I mean. These people that's in these occults, you know what I mean. My grandfather was a high ranking Freemason, and my the other person that we used to get big bills, you know what I mean. Go get cheese from, cause nigga we struggling, you know what I mean, but. They used to give us like $100 every time we pulled up on them. You know what I mean? Every time we used to come and visit them, we used to get like $100. Me and my sister, and the one that's in my aunt, my the sister of my grandfather. They live together. They got like a whole strip. Straight family out in the country. It's about countryside, you know what I mean. But it's a lot of land, you know what I mean. Stretch. So she was an Eastern Star, and both of them used to give us cheese, you know what I mean. And you know who took that? My mother took it. Yeah, my mother took it. She used to take it, and she used to tell us that she was gonna put it in a savings account for us. You know what I mean? Building generational wealth. You know what I mean? Having, you know what I mean? You know, we come in. Most of us ain't got nothing. Ain't got nothing to start out with. You know what I mean? All these children, these children, some of these, you know what I mean? They got something to start out with. They these other nations, you know what I mean? They have bar mitzvahs and, you know what I mean? It's just like there's something to get a child to start out in the world with. You know what I mean? No, this wasn't the case. She'll take that money, tell us to give it to her. She's gonna put it in a savings account for us every time. It won't one time we got to keep that money. Every time. So I tell you this, when we get around we get around. I don't know. I mean, it wasn't too long before we started asking for that cheese. You know what I mean? It wasn't too long before we started asking, what is money at? You know what I mean? What is money at? Can I get mine? Can I get mine? Always no. Always no. We ain't never see that money a day in our life. That money gone. Evaporated. So, you know what I mean? A lot of people like to say morals, principles, and stuff, man. Who take money from their own children? I ain't dogging that. I ain't bashing, but honestly, any parents out there, would you take money from your child and never? Now this was the always the comeback. Well, I stand up under this roof, got bills to pay. That ain't my problem. That ain't my problem. The Bible say you supposed to leave an inheritance for your children. Now, if you stealing from your children, how you gonna have anything for the children? You know what I mean? Yeah. So I mean, now y'all, a lot of people might want to say, well, that says father in the Bible. That say father. Well, y'all want to play daddy. Y'all want to play father. Y'all want to take on masculine roles. Say I do it all by myself. No, go please. No, go play. Stop playing, man. Man, go ahead, man, with all that talk, man. Talking about some bells. Man. So that's why you stealing from your. I thought it was no honor amongst thieves. You stealing from your own children, man. Ain't no principles more than that, man. Nah, man, ain't no principles more than that, man. Your intention was to steal. Your intentions was to lie, and that's exactly what you did for your guy's sake. You were working. You were paying the bill. You were getting. What do you want? She also started taking large amounts of money from my sibling. When that sibling started working a job later, went up in age, I believe around 17 or 18, and that sibling used to cry to my dama telling her story of what my mother was doing. And the only reason I know this is because my dama ended up telling me these actions my mother was committing to my sibling when I got older and was curious, questioning the past of my mother and father and also their relationship together. I'll tell you another thing. We was about in middle school, right? We was about in middle school. Now, I ain't saying that we ain't condone it because we were like, man, we grown. You know what I mean? We grew up in the bricks and we grown early. You know what I mean? We grown. She take a trip to Cancun, Mexico. She take a trip to Cancun, Mexico, dog. Leave me and my sister at the crib by herself. Now I ain't saying like you know what I mean. She got our granny to come and check on us. You know what I mean. She got our granny to come check on us every now and again. You know what I mean. But she still left the kid in the hood. Left two kids in the house by themselves in the hood. Come on, man. Come on, man. Would y'all leave y'all kids at the crib? What, 12, 13, by themselves and go to Cancun, Mexico? I think for at least a week. At least a week. Would y'all do it? I know I wouldn't leave my children at home by themselves in the hood for the week. You know what I mean? Man, you crazy, man. Man, you get burglar, man. Anything happen, man, day or night, man. Our grandma won't stand with us. She'll just come and check on us. Maybe once a day, each day, you know what I mean? Just come and check on us, you know what I mean? But they won't know, it won't nobody. We was there by ourselves, nigga. We ran the crib, you know what I mean? While she was gone. Um, now that's my mother. That's my mother. Her actions, the things that she committed. How can you be around but so much when you have to work, when you have to provide, and you choose to be a single mother because that was her choice to leave my father. So My father, he tried to make it work. Growing up and you realizing that no one has a a mature mind, but a child's mind in an adult body. Knowing they really never grew up, they never really healed from their past trauma, they never really self reflected and looked in the mirror and fixed themselves to be able to be a mature adult and to be able to be a true parent. So it never, the times that I did interact with my father, it was never a, a, a moment to build a true connection. He never really knew how to do so. He never really knew how to be a true parent because he didn't have a father himself. So he still had that type of resentment and past feelings and emotions within himself. So me knowing that now, so he never could give what he didn't have, and he didn't build it. He didn't was quote unquote a God fearing man, but did not do the things to truly, because obviously you would see the transformation, the renewing of your mind, and then those things will start to act out externally when you do the work internally, and it didn't happen. You didn't see that, but you know things happen. Life goes on, and the next generation usually, uh, well, they do pick up, and then it's their turn to make a difference, break generational curses or not. How did some of the actions committed or not affect me growing up? The thieving and lying actions that I saw and experienced my mother do to me and my sibling ended up rubbing off on me subconsciously. Because we all know young children repeat and pick up the things they see others say and do. So when I got older, I started stealing money, thinking it was normal. It was a time I was at my granny house, my mother's mother, and I was meddling in her drawers and found a nice amount of money, and I took it. Come to find out, it was my uncle's bill money because he used to give his bill money to my granny, his mother, so she could pay it for him. Other instances was me stealing from my mother's purse growing up, grabbing small money here and there, thinking she wouldn't notice, and having all I had to do all of this while she was asleep. But she was a, well, you don't know, but she was a light sleeper. So my stealth skills, they became very advanced because I had the I had some spots, we had some spots in the floor that creaked, also having to get low. And when she started to move, uh, you know, when she started to move, brother had to hit the floor. It was almost like a lion hunting prey. Thinking about it now. Then in my teenage years, I started stealing out of stores in the mall and Walmarts. I actually got caught my last time stealing out of Walmart due to them advancing the security technology. I was with my Dama, her sister, my Aunt Glo, and my sibling, but I went off by myself to do what I did. Me getting ready to walk out of Walmart back to the car because I couldn't find where my people was at. I was about 50. I was about 50 feet from the exit and forgot I had something I didn't pay for in my hand. So I realized and went back to put it down, having what I wanted, and took inside my pants. Then as I walked out, they stopped me and my heart dropped. They took me to the security room and called for my people uh, to come up front over the intercom. Yet by the grace of God, the manager let me go. He was a melanated brother, having sympathy on the youngster. But seeing my Dama crying about it and so hurt that I did that while with her hurt me instead. It hurt me inside. Because she and her view really meant a lot to me. So I believe That was my last time stealing for quite some time. But this you can see how the actions committed by parents and others as you are a toddler and child gets programmed into them and molds them. As Psalms 51 verse 5 says, "Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me." And for others in a scientific state, there are four stages. The sensory motor stage from 0 to 2 years old. Infants are only aware of what is right in front of them. They learn with their senses and motor skills, focusing on what they see and do, visual and physical interactions within their immediate environment. They're constantly experimenting because they don't know yet how things react. They shake or throw things, put things in their mouth, and learn about the world through trial and error. The later substages include goal oriented behavior that leads to a desired result. For instance, they may cry to see if you will attend to them. Between the ages of 5 to 8 months, infants begin to realize that an object exists even though they can no longer see it. It's critical milestone. This critical milestone, known as object permanence, is a sign that the child is developing memory. For example, the infant learns that when you leave, you still exist and you will be back. They may also look for a toy when it's not with them because they know it still exists. They may also show stranger anxiety or fear of unfamiliar faces as they develop object permanence. They may cry and cling to parents or other familiar faces when strangers are around. As infants start to crawl, stand, and walk, their increased physical mobility leads to more cognitive development. Near the end of the sensory motor stage, 18 through 24 months, infants reach another important milestone, early language development, a sign that they are developing some symbolic abilities. Pre-operational stage, ages 2 to 7 years old, children can think about things symbolically, like using symbols to represent words, things, pictures, people, and ideas. As a result of being able to think symbolically, they can also mimic behavior, imitation, play pretend, or make believe, draw, develop mental imagery, describe events verbally. The concrete operational stage, ages 7 through 11 years old, show logical, concrete reasoning. Children at this age gain the following skills: decentering. Children's thinking becomes less focused on themselves. They begin to realize their thoughts and feelings are unique and may not be shared by others or be part of reality. They also become more empathetic. The second is conservation. The child becomes aware of their surroundings and learns that things remain the same despite existing in a different form. The third is reversibility. The child learns that things can return to their normal or original state unchanged. The fourth class, inclusion. The child can now group objects based on shape or type. And the fifth, relations. The child can use logic to perceive and organize a series of gradually changing items, such as arranging objects by size. Uh, the next is formal operational stage. This is 12 years and older. They can use symbols related to abstract concepts such as algebra and science. They can think about things in systematic ways, come up with theories, and consider possibilities. They also can think about abstract relationships and concepts such as justice. Children in this stage uh, may become even more self conscious and magnify their experience or circumstances over others over how others might. And these stages differ in time. Uh, some children may do these faster or slower than others, depending on many things. For example, the state of health the mother keeps herself in terms of food intake and exercise, plus mental health as well, which is a result of the first stage, the first statement stated. Also, a natural birth, which is, the God-given way, not under these LED lights, like the hospital has, and the way a woman has birth, natural birth, squatting instead of on her back. So it's important because you should not be on your back, going against gravity, which puts pressure and can damage your spine, or her spine, a woman's spine. All idiotic and incompetent ways to bring in a child into this world. But of course, you have those satanic worshipers teaching what you now do and practice. Also, having a stranger looking all in your vagina rather than the relationship and bond of the father being there, rather than a doctor and receiving a child as the child comes out, is something that's very important for again, the relationship and bond. And also allowing the placenta to stay attached and not immediately having it cut out when the baby comes out, and let the afterbirth come out, allowing the placenta to continually to contract so the stem cells can get to the child, which would diffuse the potential of the child getting sick and also heightens the child's consciousness. But most people cut the placenta once the child is born, and based on the way you go about your child when in the womb and then birthing the child will result in increased advancement, or either the slower advancement of the child. The stealing, as Proverbs 29:24 said, whoso is partner with the thief hateth his own soul. He heareth cursing and bewrayeth it not. Well, I didn't hate my own soul. I didn't hate my own soul. So I never gravitated towards the liking of having money taken, word not truly being kept, and it all being in the name of paying bills and shelter and so on and so forth. Well, just curious out there, would you ever take money from your child? You're supposed to be building up generational wealth, having your children to start off with something in this world, especially as melanated people. So to have that done to you, it doesn't sit well, especially growing up in the outlook of those people that done those things to you. Obviously, you would have resentment, or you would see that the actions, regardless of what they say, though their actions tells you that they really do not care for you the way that they say they do. And then you start to unpack their mind, their past, their trauma that they have, and then you see, okay, I see you for you. I see who you are now. So growing up and maturing early, mind developing early. I was always in the church because my grandmother, as I told you, they were in the choir. So we had a family church that we went to every Sunday with my granny, and I was always around the church environment. But the church was not holy godly at all. There was many Freemasons in the church, and they served Lucifer after that. There was a lot of lying going on. There was a lot of secrets being kept. Of course, secret societies, So there was a lot of secrets being kept. My mother being molested was one of them. But I always had a foundation with God, so I knew to be and walk with Him. I always believed in Him. I always had that foundation of a higher power. Sung in the choir, sung Negro spirituals, hymns, Kumbaya, my Lord, Yah, 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 God. So always had that and didn't believe that some of the things that were done were righteous at all, knew they were wrong, but they were done. They were done. Some of the actions committed by my father, I can't say any. I don't have any to say. He tried to show love in the best way he thought possible in the times that we did see him. But to be in this world, which is spiritual first and foremost, and then it plays out in the natural. To be in this world and know that you had to be a head and a leader as a man and as a male, you had to fight against these spiritual forces that are up against you, that are having a hold on your children's mind, on your children's life, the circumstances, the situation, and the environments they may be in. So he didn't know how or what things were plaguing us from us being away from him and then coming to him and him not knowing maybe what to do or how to go about building a true connection, breaking and binding and the demonic spirits off of us. Him saying he was a God fearing man. We had uh, cousins who were pastors and ministers, uh, which the church that we went to, our pastor, he was having sexual intercourse with our cousin. So the church, that 501c3 stuff, they getting into bed with the government. It was never supposed to happen. So you see the corruption of many churches, and y'all may have testimonies and stories about church experience that is not holy and godly and righteous. So we had other people in our family that were pastors and so on and so forth. So that comes with it. And he also started ministering himself, and started his journey. And it seemed like he took it serious from the times that I was with him, but he didn't. The people that fake the tongues and the falling out in the church, and so it started to look like it was more so for money than it ever was to build a true connection and relationship with God. So that's what I started to see. But in terms of him being able, the action that he committed, in terms of him trying to bring forth true love, understanding, and leadership towards his children that he does not see, that is away from him majority of the time, to try to fix the connection, to try to fix what spirits or their mind frame. He it didn't seem obviously it didn't seem like he knew what he was doing, and it's just something that most people do not and are not aware of. Yet people back in the day knew that things were spiritual, that sicknesses and diseases and so on and so forth come from spiritual matters. So you need to heal them or cure them spiritually. God will do so. God will heal you. Yah will heal you. Yahshua Christ, Jesus Christ, will heal you. So those things were just some things that he did not grasp, or those actions committed by him were not powerful enough to hone the mind, to mold and build and overcome. So I don't. He's not, to my knowledge, he's not a pastor or a minister in a very long time. So it obviously it didn't seem like it was true and genuine. Honestly, I never really cared about having no father, and I just tried to learn how to navigate without having one. You know what I mean? I tried to learn from other people. I had uncles. You know what I mean? I had uncles, my mother's brothers. Um,
I also had my papa, who was my granny's last husband. He worked at Tender and was a carpenter. He hunted, fished, and was all around great masculine man from my point of view growing up, having a lot of memories around him and witnessing his actions. And then hearing all the stories about the hell that my granny children put him through when they were newlywed. Of course, my mother internally despising men, and of course, the war on masculine men in general. You know, that demonic spirit. But then my uncles, that not being their father and all, but they were fairly grown by then, by that time. So uh, they got it together. But it was really my mother who was giving him the most hell. She was the youngest child. Yeah, he stuck through it all, you know what I mean? He stuck through it all because the love for my granny. And you see the strength that comes from that and love alone. As many of y'all may have stories about what y'all went through for love. But
I had uncles, you know what I mean? I had uncles. One of them that he actually, you know what I mean? I was with him sometimes, like if I come from school and so on and so forth. Like he'd be off of work, uh, and we used to be out in the yard. You know what I mean? We used to be out in my granny yard, cement, you know what I mean? Out there working out, getting it in. You know what I mean? Iron, pumping iron. Little boy. I was a little boy. You know what I mean? Out in the yard pumping iron. Straight up doing push ups. You know what I mean? Everything. Curls. Everything. L's. What? Yeah, yeah. He was the type of nigga, the motto is TTG, nigga, train to go. Stay ready so you ain't gotta get ready. That was the motto amongst my uncles. Stay ready so you ain't gotta get ready. Train to go. So that's another part of how I always, you know what I mean? It's in me. It's in me. Not on me. It's in me, not on me. So that was something that was instilled in me when I was a young boy, you know what I mean? Always pumping that iron, always getting it in, exercising, working out, you know what I mean? He was a G, you know what I mean? Gangster. You know what I'm saying? Get money. My other uncle, he was a G. You know what I mean? Out in the streets, getting the things that he won't supposed to be getting into. But you know the environment and the situation that people grow up around. You know what I mean? It's either you know what I mean. Sometimes it's kill or be killed. Sometimes it's eat or be ate. You know what I mean? Sometimes you know what I mean. It's just like that. Sometimes you know what I mean. So you just get into situations where you ain't supposed to. Um, the wrong place at the wrong time, so on and so forth. You know what I mean? Uh, it was 4 on. You know what I mean? 2 on was in the streets. The other two went to the one went to the Navy and one went to the Army. Um, so yeah, that was pretty much how I had an external father figure, an external man to learn from. Uh, but other than like trying to navigate on not having a father, I had 4 uncles. You know what I mean? I had one that was really there for me when he won't in prison. You know what I mean? When he won't in prison, he was there for me. You know what I mean? Harding me up every time I see him, bro, punch me in my chest. You know what I mean? So I guess that's how I built one. You know what I mean? Every time bro see me, he'll punch me in my chest. So that's how it was. You know what I mean? He toughened me up for the world to come. You know what I mean? Because you know it was gruesome. You know what I mean? Being melanated men out here, man, it's hard. People know it's hard, bro, but it ain't gotta be hard as long as you got the Lord. He'll lead you and guide you every step. You know what I mean? Keep you from evil, as long as you trust in Him, believe in Him, and and abide in His laws, statutes, and commandments. Um, Other than the father figure thing, the things that my mother did, it hurt. It hurt a nigga. Excuse my language. It hurt a ninja. Especially when I grew up and realized and started gaining understanding on the childlike mindset that is still there, it was like, all right, you know what I mean? I can't really, and then I'm healing in that time myself, you know what I mean, from all this trauma and stuff I went through, you know what I mean, being in circumstances and situations. Um, it's like I can't hold that no more. But at the same time, when I was still in that mood, in that mindset, it was always in the back of my head, even though it's like a mama boy, you know what I mean? Gotta do for your mama, gotta do for the people that your family, you know what I mean? Coming to realize family ain't always family, you know what I mean? And the actions is how is they family if they steal from you, you know what I mean? But all this and that sometimes, you know what I mean? Gotta laugh to keep from you know what I mean? But all that I'm healed now, you know what I mean? I'm just giving the story, giving the background about it. Um but yeah, it did hurt. It did hurt. But at the same time, it was always like a overriding force to do for your family. You know what I mean? Do for your people. Do for your mama. You know what I mean? Um, so that's what it was. It really didn't affect me, but it did on both ends. Not having a father and then a mother like that, you know what I mean? It ain't worse than everybody's situation, but this was my situation, you know what I mean? Or other situation that maybe would have been worse, but this was my situation, you know what I mean? So yeah, it was alright. It wasn't the best, but it did and it didn't affect me. It didn't. Saying the actions and the way that I went, the actions would say it affected me more than I'm saying it did. But I wanted to say it didn't really affect me. Like talking about, especially like the mother and the mother. If your mother do that, like that mother thing a truck, boy. If you don't love you if you love your mother more than you love yourself, boy, you'll go straight to hell. Yeah, you'll go straight to hell, boy. You'll go straight to hell. Every way, every which way but right. Yeah, cause you thinking everything, no matter what you doing it for her, and you doing it for the provision. You know what I mean? Instead of leaning on your own understanding. But in terms of a father, I had other men to look at and observe and see what they did right and what they did wrong and how to take those, even if they was unrighteous, see if they got away with it, see if they didn't, what went wrong, and what was the ways that you could. Uh, so, always been observant of both sides and all people, as I said before. So those were just some of the things. I'm going to read a few uh, scriptures. Ecclesiasticus chapter 25, verse 24, of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die. And that is truthful. Through the woman we all die, as Adam and Eve. Through the woman, Satan to go to that woman first. And through her, through by listening to her, we all die. I told you I was going to bring you the truth. That's the truth. Psalms 51, verse 5. Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. That's truthful. Especially when you have this construct when it's supposed to be heavenly order, but it's not. The woman is away from a man, heavenly order, God, Christ, the man, the woman, the children. If you don't have that construct, if you don't have the man and the woman together and over the children, if you don't have that heavenly order, it's not going to work. So when you are in many single environments, if you're not with the father, but you're with the mother, if you were in a single mother household, most of the time, even though you're birthed in a sin, you're gonna be it's gonna be more sinful practices given to you or you observing and experiencing more than it would be if you was with a righteous man, with a single father, but he was righteous because he could lead you in a righteous way. But Eve, that serpent comes in and boy, it is hard. The preacher, the preacher is a Bible, it's a verse in the Bible. Said the preacher tried to find out an account. He said out of 1,000 of righteous men and women, people who was really trying to seek and find the Lord and have the Lord. He said of the man, out of 1,000 men, he only found one. That of a woman, none. So that tells you right there, and I see a lot of women that do not have leadership by a righteous man go down here, go downhill, and that's true. Psalms chapter 68 verse 5: a father of the fatherless and a judge of the widows is God in his holy habitation, and that's truth because he always had my back. I've been through many instances where my life should have been taken from me, and I'm still here to give my testimony, to give the praise and the glory to God because he had grace and mercy upon me. So you see that he is there for the ones that are fatherless. He is a judge for the widows. Widows are wives that do not have their husbands anymore. So God in his holy habitation, fatherless. He's a father for the fatherless and a judge for the widows. So he's always been through me regardless if I had a father and regardless if I didn't have my mother and I was with my Dharma for most of my life. He put around me he put me exactly in the position where I could observe because I was always observant as a young child. He put me in a position where I observed a whole lot of lifestyles, a whole lot of people individually, what they did, what were things in their life that they did that were good, righteous, and unrighteous. And I always kept in store in my memory those instances, those lifestyles, those choices that those individual people made. And each and every environment that I was in, I always stored it. And I said I was going to utilize this for when I grow up, when I get on my own, or just to navigate how to navigate this world. So as a young boy growing up, I always knew I was gonna have to utilize this. So I was very observant and I was very understanding of why people did the things that they've done. So I used that in my life to navigate me on a right path, quote unquote white path, because we're getting into how I'm here today, my life story, my testimony, upbringing, environment that I was in, the transition, the preparation, the hearing process, and the walk, the doing. All with God being the Heavenly Kingdom warrior. So that was the process. And I took that process and I made it work for me. So I would not think that I was not messing up unknowingly. Think that I was not messing up and doing the best that I could and not following the ways that other people followed. And took the good things that people did and tried to implement it in my life if I ever came up into those type of predicaments or circumstances. In Psalms 146, verse 9, the Lord preserveth the strangers, he relieveth the fatherless and widow, but the way of the wicked he turneth upside down. And that's what I observed when I was younger. I observed that a lot of people that were wicked were losers. They lost. I've never seen people that did wickedness, unrighteousness ever win. I never seen it. So being a young child, taking these observations, taking these assessments of people's lives, keeping them in store, and utilizing the right and still knowing the bad, but throwing the bad away because I don't want to do the same foolishness that they've done to get them in a bad predicament. So I seen that the wicked were always turned upside down. I always seen wicked people, they never prevailed in anything they did. But it is a verse in there that in the Bible that does say that the wicked do things that though their days may be prolonged, it would not end well for them. And I'm paraphrasing, but that's the truth. I've never seen anyone that went a wicked route and tried to lean on their own understanding. I never seen them prevail. I never seen them prevail, and they're in hell. They're in hell. That lake of fire, eternal damnation. They are in hell, and unless you don't want to, unless you want to be there, continue to lean on your own understanding. Continue to be wicked. Continue to do unrighteous acts. But I've never seen any one of them win. And I told you this content was for winners, giving you the truth. And if you want to be a winner, turn from your wicked ways and be right side up. Now, some would ask, how the majority of us melanated people come to have, or and it's not even melanated, but specifically because we're talking about the people of God, in this instance, the children of Israel, the 12 tribes. I want to clarify that. That's what we're talking about right now. So, how did majority of us melanated people come to have dysfunctional families? And where did the dysfunction come from? And why are we in the state we are in today? Well, I'll tell you by reading Matthew 27:11 through 26. But first, to give you a short and sweet answer, we are in this predicament and have been the 400 years of slavery, us being in poverty, all has come. Our shortcomings, our trials and tribulations, our torture, our torment, our anguish, our pain, it has all come because we disobeyed Yahshua Christ, Jesus Christ. And if you want to know why I say Yahshua, it is because that is his Hebrew name. We, first melanated people, the children of Israel, spoke Hebrew, not English. English is a Caucasian man's language, which was pushed on us. We were stripped of everything when we got here. Stripped of everything. And they indoctrinated us with what they wanted to indoctrinate us with. So that is why we speak this English language now today. And we have none of our own customs, which we once had before. But his Hebrew name was Yahshua, which his English name is Jesus. Now God, Yah, whole name, Yahuwah. Some call him Jehovah. Some people say, the wish people, the Bat Mitzvah people say Yahweh. And I told you I was going to give you the truth. Do your research. Look up these different meanings of these different names. And see who is behind the name. Yahweh is not a Hebrew. That is their name. That is the Bar Mitzvah folk name for him. The Revelation 2 verse 9 people's name for him. The original name that we Hebrew people call God, Yah, Yahuwah. And the English people say Jehovah. But to tell you, because we disobeyed Christ. We disobeyed Christ. We wanted him crucified. That is why we're in the state that we're in today. That is why we went through the torment, pain, and anguish we have been through. And that is why we're in the position we are in today. It's because we disobeyed Christ. We were unbelievers, disobedient. idolaters, adulterers. So here is your truth. Matthew, verse 27, 11 through 26. And Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, saying, Art thou the king of the Jews? And Jesus said unto him, Thou sayest. And when he was accused of the chief priests and elders, he answered nothing. Why he answered nothing is because this was his will and his purpose that God sent him here for, to die for our sins. So he knew that, because before then he was on the mount talking to him and saying, Jesus ain't want to do this. Jesus ain't want to die. He said, Lord, he knew he did. He didn't want to do this. He didn't want to go through that pain. But he knew that he was here for a purpose. And he said, Lord, if your will be done, let your will be done. Yah, God, let God's will in his life be done. So he said nothing because he knew this was his purpose. And this was God's will in his life, to die for our sins, to overcome death. Verse 13. Then said Pilate unto him, Hearest thou not how many things they witness against thee? And he answered him to never a word, insomuch that the governor marveled greatly. Now at the feast, the governor was wont to release unto the people a prisoner, whom they would. He was ready to release a prisoner, whichever prisoner they wanted. And they had then a notable prisoner. One of the prisoners was Jesus. The other prisoner was a notable prisoner, and his name called Barabbas. Therefore, when they were gathered together, Pilate said unto them, Pilate was the governor, said unto them, Whom will ye that I release unto you, Barabbas or Jesus, which is called Christ? For he knew that for envy they had delivered him. Envy, they had delivered Christ. Christ ain't do nothing wrong, but he knew that for envy kills, man. Envy kills. People that have envy in their heart, people that ever tell you that they envious of you, jealous of you, anything like that, get away from those people. Envy kills. Envy kills, as you see. False accusers will make you a false accuser. Will put hatred in your heart. They covetous because they are not what they see in you, the light. Demons take over them so bad. So, for he knew that for envy they had delivered him. When he was set down on the judgment seat, his wife, Pilate's wife, sent it to him, saying, Have thou nothing to do with that just man? For I have suffered many things this day in a dream because of him. She had dreams and went to go tell her husband, Don't do nothing to this just man. She been suffering dreams. Man, ain't God on the righteous and just man's side? Just folks' side? Men and women? Verse 20. But the chief priests and elders persuaded the multitude that they should ask Barabbas and destroy Jesus. Wow. The chief priests and the elders persuaded the multitude that they should ask Barabbas and destroy Jesus for envy, because they envied him. The governor answered and said unto them, Whether of the twain, mean whether of the two, will ye that I release unto you that said Barabbas? They said Barabbas. Y'all heard that? Y'all heard that? the truth. They said Barabbas. Pilate saith unto them, what shall I do then with Jesus, which is called Christ? They all say unto him, let him be crucified. That's what your ancestors did. That's what my ancestors did. They said, crucify Jesus. You want to know why we had 400 years of slavery? You want to know why we've been through so much pain and torment and anguish? You want to know why we in the predicaments we in today? You want to know why we were made and brought so low and beaten and degraded? That is why. Because you asked for Barabbas, a murderer, instead of Jesus, a just man, because of envy. Y'all said, let him be crucified. And the governor said, why? What evil have he done? Pilate even said, what evil have he done? What do y'all even have on this just man? Just because y'all was envious. But they cried out. The multitude cried out. Even more, the more. But they cried out the more, saying, let him be crucified. When Pilate saw that he could prevail nothing, but that rather a tumult was made, he took water and washed his hands. Pilate said, man, I ain't got nothing to do with this, God. I ain't got nothing to do with this. He took water and washed his hands before the multitude, saying, I am innocent of the blood of this just person. See ye to it. He said, I'm washing my hands with it. Y'all want this? I'm washing my hands with it. I'm innocent. I ain't got nothing to do with the blood of this just man. See ye to it. Then answer all the people, all the multitude, all your granddaddies, grandpappies, all your cousins, all your aunties, your uncles, your nephews, your nieces, all y'all, all your ancestors, all y'all. Then answered all the people, and said, his blood, Jesus' blood, Yahshua blood, his blood be on us. Not just us, and on our children. Now do you see? He said, you will suffer for the sins. In the book it say he will suffer for the sins of your forefathers. The third and fourth generation will suffer the sins of your forefathers. This thing, sin trickle down, man. Sin trickle down. As y'all know, y'all have family members. Y'all may got witches and warlocks and so on and so forth in your family. They put curses on y'all, curses on the next generation. And Freemasonry, that's a lot of Freemasonry. Eastern Stars, it goes on. Sorority fraternities. Y'all make covenants with Satan, man, to get worldly gains, worldly riches, so on and so forth, the things of this world, and curse everybody else after you. So you want to know why you steadily in a continuous cycle of sin, death, torment, pain, and curses on yourself. Ask the people that came before you. Hopefully they tell the truth, because a lot of them cowards. Then answered all the people and said, his blood be on us and on our children. Then released he Barabbas unto them. And when he had scourged Jesus, he delivered him to be crucified. That's what y'all wanted. That's what y'all wanted. And you wanted to know the answer of why we got all this dysfunction in the families, why we in the state we in, so on and so forth. That's why. Also read you Luke chapter 23, 18 through 24. And they cried out all at once, saying, away with this man, and release unto us Barabbas, who for a certain sedition made in the city, and for murder. Y'all want to know why I said Barabbas was a murderer? Because that's what he was, and that's what he did. He murdered. And for a murderer was cast into prison. He was cast into prison because he was a murderer. Barabbas. Pilate, therefore, willing to release Jesus. Pilate was willing to release him. He knew he was a just man. He knew he didn't do nothing wrong. Pilate, therefore, willing to release Jesus, spake again to them, but they cried, saying, "Crucify him, crucify him." Y'all want to know why we in the state? Why we went through so much? That's why. And he said unto them the third time, "Why? What evil have he done?" He said unto them third time. The third time, not one, not tw- no, not twain, not two times, but three times. Why? Why? What evil have he done? I have found no cause of death in him. I will therefore chastise him and let him go. He was ready to let him go. And rightfully so. And they were instant with loud voices, requiring that he might be crucified, and the voices of them and of the chief priests prevailed. And Pilate gave sentence that it should be as they were crying. So y'all got what y'all wanted. Don't think y'all ain't get what y'all wanted. Because I sure did get what y'all wanted. Y'all sure did get what y'all wanted. And the trickle of this, will be read from Deuteronomy 28. Because this is what you will get if you obey him. And this is what you get if you disobey him. Which Deuteronomy 28 reads. If you hearken unto him and his commandments and his word and his way, you will be blessed. But if you don't, you will not be blessed. And Deuteronomy 28 says, "And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth." He'll set you high above all nations of the earth if you obey him, hearken to his commandments, and observe to do all his commandments. And all these blessings shall come upon thee, and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. Blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed shalt thou be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Blessed shall be thy basket and thy store. Blessed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shalt thou be when thou goest out. The Lord shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. So any of your enemies that want to gun you down, that want to slit your throat, that want to slay you, that want to slaughter you, he said, if you observe to do his commandments, live your way and your word by him, that those enemies that rise up against you, he'll smite them down. He'll destroy them. They shall come out against thee one way, and flee before thee 7 ways. The Lord shall command the blessing upon thee in thy storehouse, and in all that thou settest thine hand to do. And he shall bless thee in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. The Lord shall establish thee an holy people unto himself, as he has sworn unto thee. He sworn unto you. If thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord thy God, and walk in his ways. That is what he will do if you keep his commandments and walk in his ways. And all the people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of the Lord, and they shall be afraid of thee. People will be afraid of you because you got the power of God, because you hearken unto his commandments, his laws, his statutes, because you hearken unto God. And that means being obedient, doing what he say, walking in his way and his word. And the Lord shall make thee plenteous in goods, in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy ground, and in the land which the Lord sware unto the fathers to give thee. And the Lord and the Lord shall open unto thee his good treasure, the heaven to give the rain unto thy land in his season. Man, he gonna get a land rain. Let the fruits grow, let the plants grow, let the herbs grow. You're gonna be plenteous and good. And to bless all the work of thine hand. Mean anything you put your hands to, any work you put your hands to is gonna be blessed. And thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow. Meaning you're gonna be the lenderer. You're gonna be the lender and not the borrower. It's better to lend than to borrow. And many people may know that from business alone. And the Lord shall make thee the head and not the tail. He gonna make you the head and not the tail. He gonna make sure you the leader and not a follower. And thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath. And if that thou hearken, if, only if, that thou hearken unto the commandments of the Lord thy God, which I command thee this day to observe and to do them. And thou shalt not go aside from any of the words which I command thee this day, to do the right hand or to the left, to go after other gods, to serve them. So do not go aside. Do not go aside. Verse 14 said, do not go aside. And thou shalt not go aside from any of the words which I command thee this day, to the right hand or to the left, to go after other gods to serve them. That is what you do. And that is what you have. That is what you bless with. If you hearken and go and obey and walk in his way and his word, and do not go after other gods to serve them. But this is one thing. But it shall come to pass if thou wilt not hearken. And this is what has happened through the 400 years of slavery. Why you in the predicament you in today? Why children are disobedient, so on and so forth. Why you have no power? Because you don't hearken unto his ways and his word, his commandments that he gave to you, a guide to obey, to observe, and to do. So you will be blessed. So you will have authority. So you will have power, giving love and be filled with love. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. The Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke, and all that thou settest thine hand unto for to do, until thou be destroyed. So he gonna do this until you destroyed, because you did not hearken unto him. And until thou perish quickly, you gonna perish quickly, because of the wickedness of thy doings. All because of your wickedness and your wicked ways, your wicked actions, whereby thou hast forsaken me. You have forsaken him. And that is what's going to come upon you until you're destroyed because of your wickedness. The Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee, until he have consumed thee from off the land, whither thou goest to possess it. The Lord shall smite thee with a consumption, and with a fever, and with an inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with the sword, and with blasting, and with mildew. And they shall pursue thee until thou perish. And thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron. I mean, ain't gonna be, the rain is dried up, brass. The iron so hard, ain't nothing coming through. And the heaven, and the Lord shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust. From heaven shall it come down upon thee until thou be destroyed. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Aren't y'all killed all the time, smitten before your enemies? Your enemies killing you. Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and shalt be removed into all kingdoms of the earth. And thy carcass shall be meat unto all fowls of the air, and unto the beasts of the earth, and no man shall fray them away. The Lord will smite thee with the bouch of Egypt, and with the emeroids, and with the scab, and with the itch, whereof thou canst not be healed. The Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. And thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness. And thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. You ain't gonna prosper in your ways, because your ways are wicked, and because you did not hearken unto the God, unto the Lord, Yah God. And thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore. You're gonna be oppressed, and no man shall save thee. You've been oppressed 400 years, and ain't no man come and saved you yet, because of your disobedience and unbelief. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Huh? What the little Hebrew what the Hebrew woman run across the field or pick a cotton? Master see a master desiring her, lustful spirit in them, lustful spirit in them. Say, come on here, come on here, girl. That what he say? Come on here, girl. She say, yes, Big Daddy. Okay, Big Daddy. Y'all ain't never seen Django, huh? Yes, Big Daddy. Whatever you say, Big Daddy. And lo and behold, here you go looking. Yeah, Master got it right now. Yeah, Master got a hold of her right now. Yeah, you thought she was your wife. Master got her. Master got her right now. So thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build a house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. We built many structures around this plane, around this earth. Many structures for wealthy people. Many great buildings. Many great homes. We don't live there. We don't live there. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof. Oh, great example. Many of the grocery stores. Yes, many of the grocery stores. Huh? God's gift to this earth. The fruit is the food, the herbs are for the healing of the nation. They took that, started charging you for fruit, and started charging you for vegetables. Man, they even charge you for water. They even charge you for H2O, water. Well, they charge you for everything. Well, you plan all this, do that, do that. God given. They gonna charge you for it. You ain't gonna eat it without a price. Huh. Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. Thine ass shall be violently taken away from before thy face, and shall not be restored to thee. Thy sheep shall be given unto thine enemies, and thou shalt not have none to rescue them. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be not and there shall be no might in thine hand. So they selling your daughters, they selling your sons, Give me 250, give me 400, give me 5, give me 5, give me 6666666. I got 3 for this little stubby nigger over here. I got 5,000 for this big buck right there. You know, they weren't doing no 5,000 back in them days, but $5, 500 get you 500 for a nice buck. Oh, you got a nice healthy son. Oh yeah, they get you a long way, boy, on that auction block. Yeah, so that's what they used to do. So you sell your daughter, sell your sons, and you ain't had no power in your hand to stop it. All because of your disobedience. All because of your disobedience. Verse 33. The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up. So all these Caucasian folks that had you, they eat it up. They eat it up. All your labors, they eat it up. And thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always, so that thou shalt be mad for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. The Lord shall smite thee in the knees and in the legs with a sore bouch that cannot be healed, from the sole of thy foot unto the top of thy head. The Lord shall bring thee and thy king which thou shalt set over thee unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, and there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. And if y'all don't know what the other gods of wood and stone are, wood is Christianity. Yeah, Christianity. And stone is Islam. Because you can't. I'm a Christian. I follow Christ. Christianity is not in the Bible. Christianity is not in the Bible. Christian is in the Bible, but Christianity is not in the Bible. You can't sit here and say, I am a Christianity. No. Christianity is a religion. Jesus, Yahshua, was not religious. He was not religious. He was doing the will, and he was abandoning his Father's way and his word, here to fulfill the law and not do away with it. Perfect man, just man, righteous man, perfect. Now, being a Christian, you're being a follower of him, a disciple of Christ. You're following Christ and his example. That has nothing to do with religion. That is spirituality. Spiritual things, spiritual matters, knowing spiritual things and spiritual matters. But a natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God, because they are foolishness unto him. Neither can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. But a spiritual man judgeth all things, yet he himself is judged of no man. For who hath the mind of Christ, who may instruct him? But we have the mind of the Lord. But we have the mind of Christ. So it's spiritual matters. Life is spiritual. Life is spiritual. And to know that Christianity is religion, they made religions to divide and conquer. To divide us from one another. From loving thy neighbor as you love yourself, because you have disagreements. And many cannot agree to disagree. Don't you see many KKK members, quote unquote, believe in Christianity, but they have a Caucasian man painted as their Jesus, quote unquote. So you see the horrific things that they have done and do throughout time to others that are not. So you tell me if those are righteous actions, if those are the things that God has set out for us to do. No, they're not. They're wicked ways, wicked thoughts, wicked actions, and judgment is upon them. Stone, Islam. That's not the way to go either, buddy. Islam is not the way. Allah, all that ain't none of that the way to go. But he's showing you that, and there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. That's what y'all. That's what y'all be serving. That's what y'all be serving. Y'all like to put these tattoos or whatever with the big cross and then the two small crosses. Those are crosses that KKK members utilize in their rituals and their burnings. They have a big one and they have two small ones. Y'all really, the ignorance has to stop. He said, my people perish due to a lack of knowledge. And that is absolutely the truth. And thou shalt, 37, and thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, a byword among all nations, whether the Lord shall lead thee. And y'all have. First, y'all was called Negro. They had to change that because as soon as y'all got out of quote unquote slavery, y'all started learning the Bible, y'all started to be able to read, so on and so forth, because God was going to allow us to come into knowledge, but whoever seeked, asked, and knocked of the Lord, of God, those were the people that received that knowledge that he had to give. And if you were able to, you will start to trace back. Okay, yeah, a royal priesthood, chosen generation, a peculiar people, coming from Shem and not Ham, like the Africans. We are not African. People over here, we are not African. Many of us come from the tribe of Judah, same tribe Jesus comes from. But we, after Negro, you know what we was called. We was called nigger. They call us nigger. And they meant for it to be a derogatory term. They meant for it to be a derogatory term. But it was a byword that many people among all nations, whether the Lord shall lead thee, called us. Thou shalt carry much seed out into the field, and shalt gather but little in, for the locust shall consume it. Thou shalt plant vineyards and dress them, but shalt neither drink of the wine nor gather the grapes, for the worm shall eat them. Thou shalt have olive trees throughout all the coast, but thou shalt not anoint thyself with the oil. For thine olive shall cast his fruit. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. All thy trees and fruit of thy land shall the locust consume. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail, which we have turned into. Roles have reversed. More because of disobedience. Because of disobedience. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. Isn't it? Isn't it? Isn't it a sign and a wonder upon thy seed forever? Because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck, which slaves used to have a yoke of iron upon their necks. Look up some pictures. Until he have destroyed thee. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. Now they use eagle because many nations, many Caucasian nations, utilize the bird as symbolism. Over here in North America, United States, they utilize the eagle. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. We did not understand English. We did not understand English, but when they stripped us, started indoctrinating us with what they wanted, it was a tongue that we did not know, and a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor shew favor to the young. They did not give a damn if you was old or elder or if you was young. They ain't care not near a bit. Ain't had no mercy, no sympathy on you. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of thy kind, or the flocks of thy sheep, until he have destroyed thee. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates until thy high and fenced walls come down, wherein thou trustedest throughout all thy land. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates throughout all thy land, which the Lord thy God hath given thee. Now, what they're saying about, and he shall besiege thee in all thy gates until thy high and fenced walls come down. The Caucasians have moved in. Rome conquered Jerusalem in 70 A.D. That is when Jerusalem, Israel, got conquered, and they inhabited the land. Now the Revelations 2 verse 9 folk, that's when they started inhabiting Jerusalem, when they came and conquered you because of your disobedience, because of your idol worship, because of your unbelief. They conquered your land where you were originally from, and after that you fled down into Africa, into West Africa exact. It was called Negro land, where the Gold Coast, the Salt Coast, and it was another called the Slave Coast. It was right down the border. That's why a lot of people say, "Well, I got." They go on Ancestry.com or whatever, or do DNA, and it traces you back to over there around Nigeria and Ghana and so on and so forth. It's because that's where you fled after your domain, after your the possession, that the land possessed that God gave you was conquered in 70 A.D. So that's when those people started inhabiting Jerusalem. So that's why it says, and he shall besiege thee in all thy gates, because that's what happened. Jerusalem, your habitation was conquered because of your disobedience, until thy high and fenced walls come down, wherein thou trustedest throughout all thy land. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates throughout all thy land, which the Lord thy God hath given thee. And thou shalt eat the fruit of thine own body, and the flesh of thy sons and of thy daughters, which the Lord thy God hath given thee in the siege, and in the straitness wherein thine enemies shall distress thee, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eyes shall be evil toward his brother. Eyes started to get evil toward each other, and toward the wife of his bosom, even his own wife, because of the distress, because of how tender they made him, how delicate they made him, because they broke him down so much that his eyes started to be evil towards his own people and his own wife, his own children, and toward the remnant of his children which he shall leave, so that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children whom he shall eat, because he hath nothing left in him. Because he hath nothing left him. Because he hath nothing left him in the siege, and in the straitness wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee in all thy gates. The tender and delicate woman among you which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eye, the woman's eye, shall be evil toward her husband, toward the husband of her bosom, and toward her son, and toward her daughter. So see how all this transpires. That's your eye gonna be evil to your husband, toward your son, and toward your daughter. That's what happens when you disobedient to God. When you don't got heavenly order, when you don't got a man or woman, and even then, when you don't work on yourself, when you don't heal yourself, when you don't truly serve God, He said you're gonna be straight if you hearken to His covenants and to His word and walk in His way and His word. But if you don't, this is what's gonna happen. This is exactly what's gonna happen. And toward her young one that cometh out from between her feet, I gonna be evil even toward the baby, and toward her children which she shall bear. Because it's still the same. You know, a lot of women got the chemical or whatever. It's still is spiritual. While a lot of animals, maybe dogs, they may have children and they might eat one of the children because the mother is aggravated, get angry, or transferring back to the women. The women, they don't like to be around the children, or they don't want their children, they don't want to hold their baby when they come out, and so on and so forth, because of whatever. This is explaining that. For she shall eat them for want of all things secretly, and the siege and straitness wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee in thy gates. If thou wilt not observe to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, that thou mayest fear this glorious and fearful name, the Lord thy God, then the Lord will make thy plagues wonderful, and the plagues of thy seed even great plagues, and of long continence and sore sicknesses, and of long continence, and of long continuance. Moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou wast afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. Also every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of this law, them will the Lord bring upon thee until thou be destroyed. And ye shall be left few in number, whereas ye were as the stars of heaven for multitude, because thou wouldest not obey the voice of the Lord thy God. Just like I say, 2/3 gonna die. It's only gonna be a remnant left. It's it ain't never changed. It's gonna be a small remnant because you're not obeying to the voice of the Lord thy God. And it shall come to pass that as the Lord rejoiced over you to do you good and to multiply you, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to naught. And ye shall be plucked from off the land whither thou goest to possess it, all because of your disobedience. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all the people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease. You ain't find no ease among these nations. Neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. You ain't had no rest. You got to work. I'm gonna whip you till you want to go back to work. I'm gonna whip you and whip you and whip you. But the Lord shall give thee therefore for there a trembling heart and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind, and thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt have none assurance of thy life. So you don't even know. You ain't gonna have no assurance of your life because you disobey God, bruh. You live in the field and toil every day and every night because you never know when you just gonna die. And I bet you want to, all the pain you going through. All because of your disobedience. All because of your disobedience. In the morning thou shalt say, would God it were even, and at even thou shalt say, would God it were morning. Wishing it was evening and wishing it was morning, because you just trying to get through, trying to get through. For the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. All because of your disobedience. All because of your disobedience. What goes along with that is Jeremiah chapter 20, verse 4 through 5, which says, for thus saith the Lord, behold, I will make thee a terror to thyself and to all thy friends. Meaning you a terror. You know, people out here, you backstabbing, backdoing, killing folk, just a terror, just a menace to your own people, to your own friends. All because of your disobedience. For thus saith the Lord, behold, I will make thee a terror to thyself and to all thy friends, and they shall fall by the sword of their enemies. Meaning your enemies gonna kill you, they gonna slay you, and you gonna fall, all because of your disobedience. Because you did not want to walk in the way of God and righteousness and holiness and godliness. So you're gonna live in torment and anguish and pain. You're gonna live that here in this life, and then next when you go straight to hell. Straight to hell. You ain't going nowhere but hell. All because of your disobedience and your unbelief. And thine eyes shall behold it, and I will give all Judah into the hand of the king of Babylon. You heard that one, huh? You heard that one. And I will give all Judah into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he shall cry, and he shall carry them captive into Babylon, and he shall slay them with the sword. As he do, and as he does each and every day. Moreover, I will deliver all the strength of this city, and all the labors thereof, and all the precious things thereof, and all the treasures of the kings of Judah will I give into the hand of their enemies, which he has done when they came and conquered in 70 AD. In 70 AD, they came and conquered Jerusalem, and gave all the treasures of the kings of Judah, gave everything, gave all their precious things, all their labors, everything, and that's who dwelling over there now. Revelation 2 verse 9. They still dwelling over there now, but judgment is upon them. Judgment is upon all the nations of Edom. The judgment is upon them. We gonna get to it, but we talking about your disobedience. Why you are in, and why the dysfunction is upon you and your families, which shall spoil them and take them away and carry them to Babylon. And this is a beautiful Ephesians chapter 2, 11 verse 13. Wherefore remember now that ye being in past Gentiles in the flesh, who are called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh made by hands. Now remember, you can go check out my video, Who Are Jews, Who Are Gentiles? Who Jacob, who Esau? You can go check that video out. Please do, to get where this is coming from. And it's all a spiritual and natural sense. Because I gotta give you, I'm giving you the meat, I'm giving you the milk, and I'm giving you the meat. I gotta give you the whole truth and nothing but the truth. I got to give you the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Life is spiritual first. Spirits inhabit this body. You don't think you got no spirit? Go to sleep. Have a dream. Well were you? You in the spiritual realm, and then you woke up in the body. You can't be. It's unreal. Now you are in the spiritual realm. So know that life is spiritual. So go check out that video. But wherefore remember that you were that ye being in time past Gentiles in the flesh. You was Gentiles in the flesh, being unbelieving, disobedient, not believing it, not believing it, and not doing the way of God, who are called uncircumcision. So Gentiles, custom of uncircumcision, as it's saying here, by that which is caused the circumcision and the flesh made by hands, that at the time you were without Christ. At that time you were out Christ. You want to get Christ. You want him. You want him. That's your Lord and Savior. You got to accept him that you can get to God. Being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel. Commonwealth? You see a lot of these structures, a lot of this construct of governmental order and levels, everything comes from the Bible. Everything. Satan wanted to set up his kingdom. He gonna replicate it just like the heavenly kingdom. And that's what he has done. Being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel and strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope. And had no hope. And without God in the world. But now, this is what you want. This is what you want to get. But now in Christ Jesus, ye who sometimes were far off are made nigh by the blood of Christ. Sometimes you was far off. But now you come into the truth. You come into accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. Yahshua Christ as your Lord and Savior. You come into that truth. Because once you was far off, but now you really got him. And you're made nigh, made near to him by the blood of Christ. Because he died for your sins. You want him. Seek him. Ask for him. Knock on that door. Knock on his door. He'll show you. He'll show you if you really seek for him. Because he says, seek and you will find. Ask and there'll be answered. Knock and the door will be open. You got to be genuine. Pure intentions. But seek for him. Now, the ending statement. Will it end? Will it change or be fixed? Or will it continue? Salute to my brothers and sisters in Christ. Stay tuned. Go.